Yo, what's up? Nakama here. This is my Banlist wishlist. It's a little bit early, maybe too early, until the December. We still haven't really gotten a Darkwing Blast yet in the TCG. But yeah, before I tested those, I just want to do a little Banlist wishlist. Yeah, I think wishlist is a lot more interesting. You get to showcase what you like and what you don't like, and also your opinion on game design, which I think is fair and cool. It's a really interesting discussion that sometimes, hey, we're playing this game to have fun and create our own vision. I mean, Konami is at least trying to create their own vision of what is a fun competitive card game. For the bands, I have some very interesting takes. I mean, these are not interesting takes. I think yeah, everyone just kind of sort of agrees with this. Yeah, these four floodgates. Yeah, first of all, going first cards are too strong. I mean, ironically enough, Mystic Mine is not a going first card. But regardless of that, floodgates need to be banned. In a fighting game, in a competitive game, you want cool plays to happen. You want skillful gameplay to be a thing. About Konami is that they're also trying to appeal to two types of people. One are the competitive players who want gameplays to be fun, skillful, and impressive. The other half just wants things to be a lot more simpler. And I think those people who want things to be a lot simpler just really like Mystic Mine. But oh my god, that is such a bad Mystic Mine. Okay, I have certain defenses for it. For example, when you're playing Mystic Mine in a rogue deck, it feels kind of cool, simply because, for example, Team Samurai recently, I don't know, maybe he just won regional local with a Dark Magician deck that has Ghost Match Rivalry and Mystic Mine in a bunch of floodgates in it. And that's as much of a cancer as it is. It's kind of cool. You get to stun your opponent and slow them down with these cards, but you still, play the Dark Magician game and grind it out with, and use Circle to banish your opponent's stuff while also recycling your Dark Magician with Eternal Soul. That's pretty cool, but the problem is that these cards are way too strong. Just Mystic Mine Burn and stall strategies that are so brain-dead and just so boring. I am okay with brain-dead strategies, okay? But brain-dead strategies should not be stronger than the strategies that require a little bit of more brain power, like Tearlament, Sprites, Drytron, Tri-Brigade. Those decks require a lot of brain, or at least some sort of effort, and it also creates a very fun, dynamic gameplay where you make a lot of interesting decisions. And these floodgates are just not good. And also, I know some people are protecting there can be only one, but I don't see it. How is there can be only one that better than Ghost Match and Rivalry in terms of card design? It's still a floodgate. It's still annoying to deal with. They only shut down certain decks and then completely fine with other, which is why you're supposed to play it in your own deck. But I really don't oh, this card can shut down this entire deck, but it doesn't do anything against this deck, so this deck mainboard this card. And I really don't like this kind of mentality where certain cards can just end the game on their own. And it also doesn't help that all four of these cards are just so strong. Going back to Mystic Mine, there are things I really like about it. For example, during the end phase, if both players have the same number of cards, destroy this card. That's a interesting little mini game. There's also the fact that generally you want the losing player and the going second player is supposed to use this card. It's much better in that circumstance, but I still don't like it. I also don't like this mentality of oh, monster effects are too good, so Mystic Mine isn't out to it. And it also creates a more balanced and more variety. Yes, it creates variety, but what does variety even matter if the variety isn't fun? So long as that variety is fun in its own right and more skillful and allows the players to express themselves in their own thinking process for interesting gameplay choices. So yeah, I think these cards are really brain dead. You just activate them, you win the game. Like Mystic Mine has certain interesting implications with rogue decks, but I don't like it. And it also doesn't help that decreases the complexity of the game. And also I really enjoy the extra deck. Like people have been saying, oh, extra decks have been good for like how long? Yes, they are good, but I think they deserve to be good because extra decks are extremely healthy in the sense that it creates sort of like an option. It almost makes this the simple, very simplistic card game into a sort of like a fighting game. There are some very simplistic fighting games that let's just allows you to punch, kick, grab, and those are the only options. But the best fighting games have like different combos, different stances that you can go into, and like extra deck monsters, like comparing it to fighting games, are like your different stances. You can like change up your strategies, and you can go into so many different methods depending on who you're fighting, what you predict your opponent is going to do, what they have in their hand. And that's so interesting. In fact, I think the extra deck size shouldn't be 15. I think it should be 30. 30 extra deck, side deck should be 30 to deal with all these floodgates. You want meta decks to be like flexible so that the players who are playing the game has a bit of a skill ceiling to climb up, you know. It can't be just like rock, paper, scissors. Well, I mean, rock, paper, scissors has a certain mind game aspect too, but you don't want people to just, oh, you know, I sideboarded this against this deck, but I didn't side it against this, so I lose. If you want a really fun and engaging gameplay, you want players to be able to side into and prepare for almost every kind of matchup, and also be able to express that, you know, big brain IQ and like movements with all those extra deck monsters and side deck cards. So aside from like this being a balanced wish list, I just want to say, hey, I love the extra deck, I love the side deck. There should be 30 extra deck cards and 30 side deck cards. That will make Yu-Gi-Oh! So much more fun, so much more consistently inconsistent. That's a good way to go about it, because these cards being like you're not being able to Disney draw every card you want in your draw phase is important, because it creates a bit of a game balance in the sense that your opening hand is not always going to be the same, and you can't just have the perfect combo to go about everything. You have to like adapt depending on what you draw. That's also like a brain thing. Like, yeah, it will be cool and skillful if people get to draw what they want, but another aspect of skill is the fact that you not knowing what you draw it, then you adapt to your draw, and that also kind of showcases the power and the skill of the players. Instead of feeling like your draw is bad and shit, you look at what you can do in the present moment and you adapt to it, and that's a really cool gameplay. So yeah, I really love extra deck, and I really don't like cards that shut down the extra deck. I mean, you guys probably want me to ban Scythe. There really isn't any point in like limiting it, because you're only most likely playing it one, and you can also like search it with Dagda, right? Yeah, I think Scythe just has to go, because like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is starting to be so combo heavy that being able to negate the extra deck for one turn is enough to kill your opponent. And also tier limits themselves play this card sometimes. They make Dagda. Yeah, I mean, so Dagda is just such a, both these cards combined is just so impressive. But I don't know, maybe I just think like extra deck, like I said, I like extra deck monsters, especially extra deck monsters that don't do anything specifically, just brings back stuff. I think those cards are fine if you just hit the targets. But generally, Scythe is just still a problem. It's an insane card going first. Like some of this, like a lot of this going first cards are just, Missing Mine is the only going second card that's need to be banned, I think. Yeah, and I really just don't like these lockdown strategies where you just like stop your opponent from doing anything. Like that type of like mentality, I think is just like, it's just playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And just kind of making it too cancerous. And like, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Was really good before all these, I mean, to be fair, Ghost and Rivalry were like here for like very long time. in the olden days, we don't just. I mean, yeah, we don't just like make. I'm not the, like in the Yu-Gi-Oh thing. Like I said, I really love the extra deck, but I think something like hat format, like even hat format had a beast dweller, and but something like the olden days where you weren't making a barrel and like savage dragon and just negating all your stuff. You could like back in the day where Steel Ogre was your end board. Yes, Goki was a tier 1, possibly even a tier 0 deck, but at least like you weren't shutting down your opponent, right? Like the board is still decently easy to break. Yeah, I think board breaking should be easy. The issue is always comes back to how are you going to survive if you don't negate, right? I think Konami just kind of fucked up that answer. We really need more cards that let you gain life points, in my opinion, so that the going first player, instead of trying to lock out the opponent, they should like summon something like a synchro master or a card that, I don't know, adds a battle fader from your deck to hand, or maybe let you survive by you gain a lot of life points if you're going first player, and if you do certain stuff, you gain life points. Or maybe you just interact with your opponent through traps. I think that's also a really cool way to like defend yourself and not get OTK by the going second player. This has to also go. This is like the weirdest decision you probably. I think it's also the most controversial. But think about this. This card is a true level 4 monster, and Tier Elements make this. In fact, Tier Elements is the only deck that can make this. Every single time they go first. Every single time. This card single-handedly, I think, just ruins Tier Element mirror matches, because whoever goes first just makes a beast dweller and the other can't do shit. Yes, I know this card can do wonders against tier, but I also don't think winning by using a beast dweller is necessarily a thing to do. Like, you can just dark ruler the opponent's board. You can Nibiru tier elements. There's so many other ways to beat tier elements. I just think Dweller is used by tier elements to make tier element mirror matches boring as fuck. Also, like, even if like you want to use this against tier elements, you're not going to make a beast Dweller as consistently as tier element could. So that's also kind of weird stuff. And even if we like take out tier elements from the picture, like most decks play from the graveyard, and playing from the graveyard is good. It's good. It's cool, okay? Being able to have all those options and using your gas tank to do cool plays, I think that's cool, but a beast dweller is just so easy. There are cards that do something like similar to a beast dweller. Dimension Shifter, you have to draw it, and if you're not playing against tier, then this is a dead card in your hand. And second of all, Dimension Shifter also works for both players, so you have to play Dimension Shifter in a deck like Blue Wonderies, or I don't know, maybe something like Math Mech. You can only put it on those decks. You can't just put this in a tier element deck, because you're going to hamper yourself with this. So at least this deck is consistent and balanced in the sense that it works for both. It works on both players. It hampers both players, and you also have to have no cards in your graveyard. So it's only really good when you're in your starting turns, going first or going second. Whereas a beast dweller doesn't have that restriction. So Dimension Shifter is much more a balanced card. You can't use this in a top deck situation. If you draw this in a top deck situation, you're kind of dead. You can make a beast dweller insanely consistently with tiers, and that just makes tier elements the actual primary user of a beast dweller. And also, like I said, the mirror match sucks because of this card, solely because of this card. I think tier element mirror will suck ass, or will be more fun if a beast dweller just didn't exist. Darklaw is also a card that does something very similar to a beast dweller, but only heroes can really use this. It's so hard to bring it out. But yeah, generally I think Darklaw is a really good card. I mean, to be fair, we also have to talk about power levels too, because if heroes were and mass change was actually meta, I wouldn't be talking about Abyss Dweller. I will be talking about Abyss Dweller, but I would also be talking about banning Darklaw. But Currently, heroes are not that impressive, but if heroes were impressive, I would be talking about banning this card. But currently, heroes are fine. Like, and yeah, there are also a lot of cancerous cards that exist in Yugioh. Secret Village of the Spellcasters is also one. Imperial Order. Yeah, it's kind of like Imperial Order, right? Like, yeah, Secret Village is like Imperial Order. But like, I'm not talking about banning Secret Village because it's locked into spellcasters. But if there was a tier 1 or tier 0 spellcaster deck, then we will be talking about banning Secret Village. Like, Konami just really needs to stop making all these like lockout strategies a thing. You can make it a thing, but like it needs to have a lot of restrictions, I guess. And so in the sense that, so in that sense, I guess Secret Village is restricted and is fair. It's only locked because it's locked to a weak archetype. So that's a really interesting thing about power and game design, is the fact that if something is like potentially cancerous, but so long as it's restricted to a certain archetype, I think it's fine. Holy shit! All the barrier statues need to get banned, but specifically this barrier statue is just creating so much problem. Flu, I think, is a good deck solely because of this card. Like, there was also a time where this card was also debated for a ban, back when Tribe Brigade was using Cimooooo to get this card out. I mean, Cimooooo is a very problematic card design on its own, simply because you can get out any wind monster from your deck, and that's really strong. So you can bypass a lot of restrictions. Whereas Bear Statue, you can normal summon this, and Impen just search it out. This card is just so insane, and also so unfun too. Like, you just play it, like watch Fluandery's gameplay. Like, you just Fluandery searches this Bear Statue, the normal their Bear Statue going first, and the opponent just scoops because they can do anything without special summoning. That's really dog shit, man. Like, we really need to stop making these going first lockdown strategies be a thing. Maybe not even going first. Like, lockdown strategies in general, like, just really need to be not good. Like, Ojamas. Okay, as much as I think Ojamas are hilarious, I think they're also very dangerous and very unfun. If they were meta, like if Ojamas were meta, it would be very people would really hate them. At least back when Tribal and Lyriclex were was meta, people didn't necessarily hate it. Like, even now, like, people do hate. There are a lot of people who hate tier elements, but quite a lot of people also do agree that this deck is just very skill based, very fun, possibly quite fun to play. But I mean, I think it's really fun to play. But aside from just making a Beast Dweller and shutting down your stuff, aside from doing that, I just people just admit that yeah, there's a lot of skill when playing tier elements. So yeah, I think these cards should definitely need to go. I almost forgot. This is the actual tier hit that I wanted. This card is too strong. Like, you can make Kit Kalos without anything, and that's too much. The fact that it does destroys it during the end phase is just nothing. It's not even the cost or anything. You want to pop your own Kit Kalos with its own effect. So yeah, and Instant Fusion always has been a very problematic card design, because like cards like Cimooooo and cards like these, where you just pull out any kind of monster from your extra deck, or like it's kind of like Aggro Paint too. Like, extra deck or your deck is just a very unhinged card design. It can be very dangerous, and it certainly proved to be quite dangerous. So I think this card just honestly should go. And this is a really good hit that Konami really missed out on in the previous ban list, because even now in the OCG with a Shizu tier list, people just still play Instant Fusion. This card is too much. Also, ironically, I actually think Foolish Burial of Goods. Okay, maybe not a ban worthy. Like, I think this should also get limited, because you can dump your Ciliax with this. I think that's. I honestly don't know why TCG counterpart players are not doing this, because this seems strong. Other hits. This hits Fluandery. I think honestly Fluanderys will just fall without Barrier Statue, and that's good, because this is the most hateable thing about Fluanderys. I think actually if you just ban the Barrier Statue, Flu will go down, and then you can like support it with less cancerous shit in the future. And Mystic Mine, yeah, Mystic Mine, you know, Runics are really good. Mystic Mine Runic is so good, but yeah, it's kind of hilarious. But without Mystic Mine, Runics isn't that much of a cancerous deck. It's fine, honestly. It just protects your stuff, and like the banishing is only as dangerous as it is because of all these floodgates. If all the floodgates, you know, are gone, then the runic banishing effect doesn't really matter, since you can just combo regularly and kill it before you deck out. Or you can use your monsters to even like put your banished stuff back to your deck, possibly. So let's go to the limit. Oh yeah, shit, I almost forgot. This shit needs to go as well. Oh, I literally just forgot about this card for some reason. This is just Imperial Order Junior. Yeah, I mean, in an old school format, setting your spells, then activating them again during your next turn might have been a thing, but like, this is just one of those floodgate, make go first instinct type of cards, and that just needs to go. Like, trap decks are fine, I think trap decks are cool, but the issue is, this is not the way to go about it, okay? These floodgates are just too much. Royal Decree, but like, I guess the point is that you can like chain your already set trap cards before it, and even if like you went first and you activated this, like trap decks are only good when you're going first. So but yeah, I think this is also one thing to consider that you could ban, but like it doesn't seem much competitive play. I think it's just merely because you can activate your traps in response to it. So we'll wait on the decree, but it's still a very unhealthy card. Now for the limits, this is going to be very interesting too. So let's start. Like, there is a sprite hit I want to hit, and I think this limited should be fine, because you really want to be either playing for 2 of or 3 of this card, and it really does matter. You can make this so easily. You can also get your negated sprite elf into another sprite elf. That's insane. And just regarding that, this card also doesn't lock you into anything. It's just a really good card that as long as you're playing level 2s, you play almost anything everywhere. Yes, I know the sprite is technically worse than tier elements now, but I will go into my tier elements hits now. Like, the thing about tier elements is so weird, right? I think Konami made it into a very desperate, strange situation where I am trying to also like think about Konami's monetary gains, in the sense that I don't want to make tier elements die simply because tier elements is a new deck and Konami wants to sell Power of the Elements. And so this is also why I don't want to ban any tier element cards. Instant Fusion is the hit, but Instant Fusion is just, nah, it's the most broken ass card ever. So yeah, but it's written that I think Kid Kalos at 1 is fine. I think this hit is a bit of a hit on consistency. It also like gently taps tier elements, which I think is alright. But like, this card is mostly played at 2, sometimes even at 3 in a lot of deck lists. And limiting at 1 should make things tier elements a lot more riskier, in the sense that if this gets imperm, you can't just use your other tier mills to make another Kid Kalos using this card's effect. You'll also, after using this card and when it goes into the graveyard, you have to make it go back to your extra deck and then use it again. So that's one thing that tier elements players has to do if this card's at 1. And also, if you like DD Crow this card, tier elements are in a real pickle. I think I just want tier elements to be this kind of a glass cannon type of deck, in the sense that, yeah, it loses to, like, it being DD Crow kind of messes things up. I think I really want to make it that type of deck. That's one way to hit tier. The other thing is the Primeval Planet Prelino. I think this card should be limited. Yeah, maybe I'm hitting tiers a little too hard. Even if I think the lack of floodgates should make tiers a lot more fine. Like, even if you don't have the field spell, you can just smash in a lot of other stuff that works with tier elements really well. And I think this field spell just does too many things. And I also want tier elements to do other regular board breaking stuff like super poly. If they want to board break, they have to use some other type of method. I think that should be. They could also, they are, I think, actually playing Dynamicious sometimes. I did see some certain decklets do that. So I think the good thing about this card is that it is removable and helps tier 2 remove. But it does too many stuff. It just gives back the card economy by giving you one tier element card from your deck. Then it also destroys many times throughout a turn, and it also make your cards gain attack points, which can come up. So yeah, generally I think this is the right hit, and it is also a financially right hit too, because in the OCG the new field spell has came. This hit is just a way to make them use the new field spell, I guess. I don't know why tier elements are getting new stuff. I really don't understand that, but whatever. And also this limiting is also a method to bring back cards. Pendulums, pendulums are really cool deck. I also really like the fact that pendulums are truly the more skill based part of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the sense that the card text is huge, and you also have both spell effects and monster effects. I really like the pendulum mechanic, so I really want pendulums to do something. And I think Melphos being at 1 should also help out. There's also some other things that should come back. Hyper, this should come back. Orcus isn't doing much. People have been talking about how this card should come back, and they should. This card isn't a hard once per turn, but it still has a once per turn. I know windups can wind up loop was a thing, and I guess their combo is a little too long sometimes, but they're so weak. You don't see any kind of wind ups in even the tier list video or something like that. And even what I saw from wind ups, they lose to Mirror Force, they lose to Raigeki. Their inboard is so weak. Okay, Change of Heart did nothing. Snatch Steal probably will not do nothing. I mean, but at the end of the day, I still think it's a very healthy card. It's really weird because stealing your opponent's stuff, usually it seems like a cancer. So people complain about that a lot back in the day. But nowadays, against floodgates, against indestructible, unbeatable negation boards, Snatch Steal and Change of Heart is fair and more balanced. I really enjoyed the Yu-Gi-Oh! Old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Back and forth gameplay, and I think bringing cards like Change of Heart and Snatch Steal is the only way to get that back. Board breaking is so important. And it's also Konami's own fault for not printing a lot more defensive style of deck. A lot of this going first decks, instead of trying to survive or trying to protect its stuff, it usually just boils down to, I'm going to lock your opponent down, or and I really don't like that. Even protection isn't necessarily the most healthiest way to improve going first. If anything, I think there should be cards that, like I said, gain you a life point. There should be stronger battle traps that maybe a stronger Mirror Force, stronger Battle Fader, stuff like that. Just lets you survive, but doesn't really necessarily help you into making an unbreakable board. I think boards should be very, very decently easy to break. But the problem with breaking boards is that it makes OTKing very easy. Konami can just change the rules. They really, really could just, instead of waiting for an anime to happen, they could just make the real Master Rule 5. Just call it Master Rule 6, honestly. Just Master Rule 6. Just increase the life point to 16,000. That should stop OTKs from happening. And if a competent going first deck should also do fine trying to defend themselves turn 1. That should be a thing. If you want the games to last a little bit longer. Because games can last longer with these combos, and I get it. Sometimes some people want, games to not last for too long, but some of these floodgates and going first insane boards just end the game too fast. Like the going first player goes up, sits up their ball, and the going second player just scoops. If they didn't draw into any hand traps or any board breakers, they just scoop it up. That's kind of really boring to see. Yeah, I really want to see more grind games and more back and forths. Is what I'm trying to say. Another hit that could happen is, I guess, this. Yeah, I think these cards are honestly fine at 1. Yeah, Eldritch is going to suffer a lot from this. I personally do play some limit in my Eldritch deck. I really don't want to play Skill Drain in my deck, but I kind of have to, I guess, especially against tiers and stuff. These type of like floodgates are not very fun. But again, this is literally like the most casual stuff. Like compared to something like there can be only one like rivalry, rose match. I think compared to those cards, these are fine, honestly. At 1, they're a lot more easier to get out. I mean, like Summon Limit allows you to summon at least 2 times, and Skill Drain. And unlike Mystic Man, you can like just you can actually activate some of your effects. So if you have a graveyard effect, you can activate those. Not the worst card, okay? It's fine. Like at 1, it should be fine. It kind of like devolves back to Caveman Yu-Gi-Oh, but like it's fine. It's very nostalgic in the sense that we go back to playing Caveman Yu-Gi-Oh when Skill Drain is active. I don't like it. Doesn't the games don't always have to be the super complex, combo-oriented, skillful gameplay. Sometimes Caveman Yu-Gi-Oh is fun, where you don't have to read monster effects and just play the game. The branded fusion and the adventure engine is really strong. I also want to hit them, but at the same time I kind of don't, because the power creep is coming out so much to the point that I actually think that bringing back banned cards is the way to go instead of trying to like hold the game down. So I'm not saying like bring back all the busted ass cards, but generally the banned cards should come back. I think Blaster should come back. Like dragons and fires, like those type of archetypes are not particularly good, and this card is just not going to do anything when it's at 1. Like look at this. You can only use 1 blaster or Dragon Rule of Inferno's effect per turn, and only 1 stepper. It's hard once per turn, and it doesn't even matter because it's 1 copy. Like it should be fine. Title also can come back, honestly. Like people keep saying like, oh, this shit is too broken. Maybe Redox is kind of like problematic because Earth is a good element. Water, like the elements themselves are not even water. That's so hilarious. And where are the dragons? Where are they? They're nowhere. Like I actually think these two can come back. Even back when like the dragon rulers were ruling the meta, these cards were pretty fair. Like I mean, not fair. They were insane, but like these cards didn't create infinite loops. They didn't lock out like Mystic Mind did. They weren't like creating an unfun situation. And playing Dragon Ruler Mirrors, it's skillful. It is skillful. And it's also very resource based. All of these are hard once per turn. And they also have, 2 water and they're locked into waters and dragons. These cards are fair. And I want, if Dragon Lake or whatever Dragon deck try to use it, I think they should be an interesting gameplay. The only card I didn't really want to bring back is Redox, but even Redox is like it could possibly come back. Like its revival effect is honestly the most questionable aspect. But I think this Banlist in itself does a lot of stuff. So I think Redux should at least stay for now. I think Ultimate Offering should also come back too. It's just going to help, I don't know, maybe Impen fucking flow on risk. But I think this card is fine. Mainly because you normal summon a bunch of times, but so what? You're still summoning those from the hand. Eventually you're going to run out of resources. But how long has this card been banned? Seriously, Konami has to let the players experience more with this stuff, Cards coming back. I think this could be cool. And Kaiser Colosseum could come back, but I don't know. I just really don't like this card, even if necessarily like came back, it won't necessarily be meta, but it's still like a floodgate, annoying floodgate, and also it has certain ruling issues with it. So I think that's a thing. I also thought about trap dust shoot. I thought about trap dust shoot a lot, but it just makes going first in more good. Like when you getting trap dust shoot, it just doesn't feel really great. Harbinger could come back, but like it's whatever. It is so whatever. Harbinger came back. It did nothing. Nobody's like talking about how this card is broken or showcasing that. It's just nothing. This might be really not nutty, but I actually think this card could just go limited. In fact, I actually think it's the right move to limit this card because A, the elements play it. Second of all, you can combine this with Zero Boros, make Zero Boros gain a massive damage. It's one of those things where yes, technically banishing face down is such a good cost, but at the same time, when you're not playing that much of a heavy archetype specific thing, specific deck, and you're also trying to increase your banish pile in order to use something like a Zero Boros, then this card can be very insane. So I think this card could also go. And yeah, the thing about like the pot cards, like some people want part of Extravagance to be banned, but Extravagance is, on top of being a fair card, it's also a very skill-based card, and allows the players to make certain decisions, such as what cards to banish and what cards to add to my hand. So in the sense that it's a very skill-based card, whereas Desires is, on top of not being very skill-based, you just activate this card, you banish it 10 random, and you also drop 2, so you just don't make any kind of this meticulous brain calculating decision making. So in the sense that it doesn't tire you out. So during tournaments, like the fact that Extravagance isn't banned is also the fact that it's so, like when you're like in a tournament and when you're like in a like heavy situation, when you're like constantly playing this, like the chances of you using Extravagance, where is it? And making no, not Extravagance, fuck that card. Part of, not Extravagance, fuck. Part of Prosperity, fuck. Why am I, my brain is not working well today. The part of Prosperity, like when you're using this card in a tournament and you're playing, constantly playing a lot, and when you're tired out, tuckered out, then the chances of you making fucked up, messing up your Prosperity banishes, your Prosperity like add to hand might increase. It's still a card that allows you to like, it doesn't let you plus at all. It only like allows you to get what you want, which is a lot more fair and a lot more skill based, a lot more healthy and a lot more fun in my opinion. Desires is just not that fun. You just banish all your stuff, you draw through, and then you make Zero Boros. That's kind of not fun. That's not as cool as I hoped it to be. So yeah, till limits play it. It should be a 1. Yeah, everything else is kind of cool. I was thinking of bringing some other banned cards, but like there really isn't any point. Yeah, this card should come back. Prankies are doing literally nothing, and I think this card coming back should at least push them into the meta. Like nobody's even talking about Prankies. Nobody even plays Prankies. I honestly want to play Prankies when it was dominating, but like now, like nobody's playing it. It's not that strong. So like, what is the point? But like, yeah, I think Prankies should come back. Like this should at least like make them a little bit playable. I think banning this might have been a little too harsh. Yeah, there are some other cards that could come back. The Master Plan, they should come back. Like, it has a one soft once per turn and a second hard once per turn. And nobody really like gives a shit about the effects because it spirals. They're nowhere near the meta, and even if they do like get a little bit stronger, like it's just going to like allow them to be a little, like in the meta game, exist in the meta game as a tier 3 or tier 4 deck. But yeah, I think this card should come back. Like a lot of these cards are like fine, to be fair. Like, if you just ban all the floodgates, ban all the stupid ass inboards, Or, Konami could also print more stronger board breakers. I think everything is fine. We are, enjoying our tier element decks. Konami just really need to step up their game, make non-cancerous card decks. I mean, Sprite and tier are one way to go about it. If anything, I think the Konami's past is really catching up. Like, a lot of these floodgates just need to be banned. Like, even as much as people like complain about tier and Sprite, like, I want tier and Sprite to like win compared to this shit, because this shit winning is just so unfun, and it just doesn't require a lot of skill, and it's really not fun to see, fun to spectate, or fun to play, in my opinion. The Mystic Mine burn players, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That's just how I feel. Like, there might be something enjoyable about letting you like drawing and passing, but yeah, I mean, that's about it. I mean, okay, let's go to the Cimo limit. Like, Cimo, some other YouTubers just don't like the Cimo limited list. I like it. I like it because of like cards like these. Engage. Like, yes, Engage could possibly go to free, but the problem is that actually might be tier elements, and we don't. And I really don't want Sky Strikers to be like easily beating tier elements. Mainly because, just like Konami, I also want to play tier elements. And I also think that the new decks should generally be stronger than the old ones for, Konami to sell their cards. And I also want to try out new decks, tier elements more too. And it just doesn't feel right when like Striker has been in the meta for so long. Okay, maybe I'm coping. Maybe I should shut up. I think I should put both of them to 2 to help Strikers do more stuff. Because I think Strikers, without Mystic Mine really helps Strikers. But like without Mine, the stick is just going to fall. And even then, like, I really, really hate Mine, and I really didn't want to play Mine in my Sky Striker deck. So instead, if I had 2 engages and 2 multi-rolls, I'll definitely play it. And I think this is much more fair and much more cooler than just playing Mystic Mine Sky Strikers. And also more skill-based, more engaging, more cool. Yeah, this is just one way to make Sky Strikers survive the meta, and hopefully even make I don't know, tier 2, tier 1 status. I don't think it being 2 is just going to make them beat tier elements. And if they do beat tier elements now, we're going to have a Shizu tier in the future. So yeah, I think Konami just used this power creep to bring back cards that are healthy, and I think Engage and Multi-Roll are okay cards. Like, they're insane card advantage, but it's not insane enough. It's still restricted to its own gameplay and archetype, so I think it's fine. Yes, the thing about like quick fixes is none of these effects are once per turn, so we can like potentially lift this, but I mean, come on guys, Spiral isn't doing anything, so I think it should be an interesting experiment to have a quick fix at 2, so like 1 master plan and 2 quick fixes. I think it's fine. Doesn't do anything cancers, it just gives you advantage. Oh yeah, I was thinking about this. So much. Gateway of the 6. This card could be at 2. Like, where is 6 Sam in the metagame? Like, I really just feel like kind of almost disappointed in Konami in the sense that they're playing this game too safely instead of like trying to shake things up and be more fun with the Banlist. Because there are so many cards on the Banlist that are technically not that. Like, I get it. Gateway of the 6 has problematic aspects in the sense that there's loop that you can like make it with this card. With Trishula, you can just like rip your opponent's entire hand going first. Special summon a bunch of your 6 Sams, then make another like Synchro Master Trishula, put it back with Lava Chain Item, put it back with some of your other cards. But like, you can hit some other part of the loop. I think I just really want to make 6 Sam be playable. Like, there has to be like Gateway isn't the actual problem in that loop. I think there is actually some other things that you could potentially hit. Honestly, so in that sense, I also think Gateway to 6 should be at 2. Like you can experiment with it. I think similar limits should be used on something like this, where you just buff off a lot of the rogue strategies, and these all are rogue strategies too. So Infinity Archman, where's Infinity in this metagame, huh? I'm just asking you all. Where's Infinity? It doesn't matter if this card doesn't have a once per turn. If you really want to talk about like once per turns, then I think the Necromancer also should have a once per turn, but it doesn't. I mean, it has the once per turn, but the issue is that you can revive it with from a wave with another Necromancer. So if anything, I think Necromancer is also a problem card. But like, it's fine. This card's like, it's fine. You can potentially make certain loops and very long combos, but eventually you're going to run out of resources. And even then, like, we have hand traps. And how long has this been carbon like limited? Like, it was banned at a certain point. It was limited. Like, the Infinity Loop is a 2011 strategy. So, like, come on. This is okay too. I think like Konami realistically should attempt to be more experimental with these things, because you really want to have a diverse format, and if you're not going to like a band tier and then pull it down, then at least like buff other stuff up. Buff the Infinities, buff the Six Sams, buff the Quick Fix, and buffing Sky Strikers. That's one way to go about it. And I personally think that buffing stuff up is a lot cooler, much more cooler. I think Gazelle should be at 2. Like, yeah, potentially, like, all these cards could be at 3. Maybe not Gateway, but, see how it goes. You similar limit this, then you see how things turn out. Drytron is almost at full power. I mean, Eva is kind of bad, but whatever. But yeah, I think Ben 10 came back at 3, and Drytron is fine. Like, it's not the strongest deck, but it's still competing. It's still almost a rogue strategy. It's still a tier 2 deck, I guess. And yeah, after the tier hits I did, maybe tier might go a little down, but I really doubt it. Like, I really want to prevent the Ishizu tier 0 format from happening, or at least not being that obnoxious. So I think these like buffs should at least help. Okay, at 3. Change your heart just at 3. This card is healthy. Even back in the day when people were like complaining about this card and wanting it to be banned, it wasn't necessarily like the most like, yeah, this card won games on its own sometimes in the top deck war, but so what? Like, modern Yu-Gi-Oh has become almost so cancerous to the point that if any card board breaks, it's almost like a good thing and it needs to come back. Because breaking boards has become so like difficult in these circumstances, and like games already last like only like 2 or 3 turns, 3 or 4 turns. Like in this dire circumstances, like if a card board breaks, then they should come back. I think that's my opinion about this card game currently. I think the life points should really be increased. In all honesty, if you really want this game to like not last 2 or 3 turns and last like longer to like at least with like 6, 7, 8 turns with fun gameplay too, like not Mystic Mine type of 6, 8 turns. I'm talking about like back and forth grind game, like 6 and 7, 8 turns. So in order for something like that to happen, they should bring back Change of Heart to 3, and they should increase the life points, or at least print cards that increase your life points, in my opinion. Spellbook of Judgment didn't really do anything, huh? Slash Draw is just funny. Like, I really don't even know why this card is banned. This card should just come back to 3. Like, it's very funny if you can do the FTK, but like, one con to 3. If it both breaks, it should be at 3. But yeah, Slash Steel might be too good, but even because you can search it with Armory Arm, so that's the thing, you can like use it as an interruption, which is why it should be at least 1. But like in general, like Slash Steel is generally considered stronger than Change of Heart, so I think it should be at 1. Maybe Grab Sorcerer to 3, I don't know. I think like Electromate is just a huge push to Pendulum, so I think it should be fine. But like, Yeah, I know some people just really like, oh, you know, it limits the card design of the future. Like, stop living in the future, my guys. Live in the present. Currently, in the present moment, pendulums kind of suck ass. And I don't want that to be a thing. Like, I want to play goddamn pendulums, and I want pendulums to be good. So, and in the OCG, Electromagnet is free and it's doing nothing. And we're also in the future going to see a tier 0 format. So why are you not using this chance to help the rogue decks? Like, stop thinking about the future. We need to live in the present moment and, you know, help all the rogue decks in the present moment. And since Konami is not like printing all these rogue supports fast enough, they should, in my opinion, bring back a lot of cards that should help the rogue decks. Like, there are so many gimmicky shit. I brought Splash Straw, so I almost want to bring back Mind Master because it's also a gimmicky FTK kind of thing. But like, you have to be playing Psychics, I guess. Like, okay, no, never mind. I actually think this is the right move. Maybe this should be at 1, okay? This is a support Psychic. Sometimes you have to like understand that even if there are like some gimmicky ass FTKs, like if so long as the FTK is not like good, then who cares? Like Exodia is technically a 0 turn kill in FTK possibly, but like nobody cares because it's not good. And I think Mind Master is just that. It's an FTK enabler. You can like shuffle for your entire deck, but like it's just like substitute, right? Yeah, Second Slide 2 at 3 is... Second Slide is so cool, dog. I really don't know why this card is banned. I think the entire monster deck is so cool. And I think Second Slide deck would be really, really dope if Mystic Mind and also a lot of those monster negation cards were banned. Like we really need to stop Konami and the players themselves should really stop encouraging all these like xenophobic and also like cards that shut down like entire archetypes, entire shut down entire monsters or entire spells or entire things. Like, really need to stop printing cards like that. Like, there are certain like tech cards that are really healthy. Like, ironically enough, it's called Shutdown. The System Down, for example, is a really cool tech card that you know shuts down a specific type. It's still a decently healthy card because unlike these floodgates, like you can really see why these floodgates needs to be banned by comparing it to machine System Down, because System Down, it only like targets a very specific monster, and it only like banishes a card that they control and in the grave. If your opponent didn't fully overcommit, they're not going to be punished for it, and if they are punished for it, they can like play through it by drawing a lot of cards from the cards in their hand and their deck. This is the banned cards. This is the limited section. This is the semi-limit. And this is the free. I think this is about it. And hope you all enjoyed the video, and see you later, I guess.